Have you ever wondered why some people seem strong on the outside, yet carry a heaviness they can never quite explain? They show up. They work hard. They take care of everyone around them. They smile when they're supposed to smile. They keep moving when life gets difficult. And because they function so well, nobody notices what's happening beneath the surface. What many people don't realize is that childhood pain doesn't always leave obvious scars. Sometimes it becomes the way you think, the way you love, the way you protect yourself, the way you survive. Psychologists suggest that when difficult experiences happen during childhood, the brain doesn't simply store those memories and move on. It adapts. It creates strategies designed to keep a child safe in an environment that feels unpredictable, overwhelming, or emotionally confusing. The problem is that those strategies often follow us into adulthood, long after the danger is gone, long after we've grown up, long after we no longer need them. And what makes this especially difficult is that many people don't even realize they're still carrying these adaptations. They think it's just their personality. They think it's who they are. But sometimes what feels like personality is actually survival wearing a familiar face. If you've ever felt different without knowing why, if you've ever felt exhausted from carrying emotional weight nobody else could see, if you've ever wondered why certain patterns keep repeating in your life, there may be a deeper explanation. Because some of the qualities people admire most in you may have been born from experiences that required you to grow up faster than you should have, and understanding that truth can change everything. One of the first signs often appears in the way a person pays attention to the world around them. Have you ever noticed how some people can walk into a room and instantly sense that something feels off? Nobody has said anything. Nothing obvious has happened. Yet somehow, they already know. They notice the slight tension in someone's voice, the pause before a response, the change in someone's facial expression, the subtle shift in energy that everyone else seems to miss. Research indicates that people who experienced chronic stress during childhood often develop an extraordinary sensitivity to emotional signals. Their brains become highly skilled at detecting potential threats. As children, this awareness may have been necessary. Maybe they needed to know when a parent was angry before the anger became visible. Maybe they learned to predict conflict before it happened. Maybe emotional safety depended on reading the room correctly. Over time, their nervous system became incredibly observant. And while this ability can make someone emotionally intelligent, it can also become exhausting. Because when you're constantly scanning for changes, your mind rarely gets to rest. You may find yourself analyzing conversations long after they've ended, wondering if someone is upset, questioning whether you said the wrong thing, trying to understand emotions that were never your responsibility to manage. What looks like overthinking is often a nervous system that learned vigilance long before it learned peace. But there is something important to understand. The fact that you notice everything doesn't mean you are responsible for everything. And that distinction can be life-changing. Because many people who grew up carrying emotional burdens eventually develop another hidden trait. They become experts at caring for everyone except themselves. Maybe you've experienced this. Someone around you is struggling, and you immediately feel compelled to help. Someone is upset, and somehow their discomfort becomes your problem to solve. Someone is angry, disappointed, or stressed, and you feel tension rising inside your own body. You aren't just aware of other people's emotions, you feel responsible for them. Psychologists have found that some children learn very early that maintaining emotional harmony increases their sense of safety. They become peacemakers, caretakers, problem solvers, emotional managers, not because they consciously choose these roles, but because their environment quietly teaches them that keeping others happy helps prevent pain. As adults, this can create a difficult pattern. You may struggle to say no. You may feel guilty when setting boundaries. You may prioritize everyone else's needs while ignoring your own exhaustion. And perhaps the hardest part is that people often praise you for it. They call you kind, selfless, reliable, supportive, and while those qualities are beautiful, they can sometimes hide a painful truth. Giving constantly is not the same as being healthy. Taking care of others should not require abandoning yourself. The people who truly love you do not need you to sacrifice your well-being to earn your place in their lives. Yet many survivors spend years learning that lesson, and even after they understand it intellectually, their nervous system may still resist it emotionally. Because another challenge often emerges when life finally becomes calm. Most people assume peace feels peaceful, but for some individuals, peace feels uncomfortable, almost suspicious. Imagine spending years living near a busy road. At first, the noise feels overwhelming. Eventually, your brain adapts. The noise becomes familiar, normal, expected. Now imagine that one day the road becomes completely silent. Most people would find relief, but initially, you might find the silence strange, even unsettling. In a similar way, research suggests that individuals who grow up surrounded by emotional chaos sometimes become accustomed to stress itself. Their nervous systems learn to operate in high alert mode. So when life finally becomes stable, their bodies don't always know how to respond. They may become restless during quiet moments. They may create unnecessary problems to solve. They may struggle to relax even when nothing is wrong. Not because they enjoy stress, not because they want drama, but because calm feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar often feels unsafe. This explains why some people stay busy all the time, why they struggle with rest, why slowing down can trigger anxiety instead of relief. Their body learned how to survive storms. Nobody taught it how to trust sunshine. And yet, this awareness opens an important door. Because once you recognize the pattern, you can begin teaching yourself something entirely new. You can learn that peace is not a trap. You can learn that rest is not laziness. You can learn that safety doesn't always have to be earned. For many people, however, another survival strategy develops alongside this constant alertness. Extreme independence. At first glance, independence seems like a strength. Society celebrates it, people admire it. Being self-sufficient sounds empowering, and sometimes it is. But there is a difference between healthy independence and survival-based independence. Healthy independence says, I can do this myself. Survival-based independence says, I have to do this myself. One feels empowering, the other feels lonely. Many adults who experienced childhood adversity learned very early that support was unpredictable. Maybe help wasn't available when they needed it. Maybe vulnerability was ignored. Maybe expressing needs led to disappointment. Over time, the brain adapts. It learns a simple rule: depend on yourself, need less, expect less, trust less. The result is often someone who appears incredibly capable, someone who handles problems alone, someone who rarely asks for help, someone others see as strong. But beneath that strength is often a person carrying far more than anyone realizes, because strength becomes a prison when you believe you must carry everything by yourself. Studies have found that genuine healing often requires something many survivors find difficult: receiving, not giving, not fixing, not performing, receiving. Receiving support, receiving care, receiving understanding, allowing another person to be there without feeling guilty about it. And for many people, that can feel far more vulnerable than facing life's challenges alone. Because independence protected them. But connection is what heals them. As difficult as that may be to accept, and perhaps nowhere is this tension more visible than in the way many survivors relate to pain, particularly other people's pain. Have you ever met someone who seems able to understand emotions before they're even spoken? Someone who notices sadness hidden behind a smile? Someone who listens in a way that makes others feel seen? Often, these individuals have walked through pain themselves. Research indicates that difficult experiences can deepen emotional awareness. When you've spent years trying to understand suffering, you become skilled at recognizing it in others. You learn compassion, patience, empathy, sensitivity. You understand what it feels like to carry invisible burdens, and because of that, you often become a safe place for other people. Friends confide in you. Strangers open up to you. People feel understood around you. But there is a paradox hidden within this gift. Many deeply empathetic people struggle to offer themselves the same compassion they give everyone else. They understand everyone except themselves. They forgive everyone except themselves. They care for everyone except themselves. It's almost as if their empathy flows outward but rarely inward. And over time, this creates exhaustion. Because carrying everyone else's emotions while suppressing your own eventually becomes too heavy. At some point, healing asks a difficult question. What if you deserve the same kindness you offer everybody else? Not someday. Not after you've earned it. Now that question alone has the power to change a life. But there is another trait many people rarely talk about. A trait that quietly shapes relationships, opportunities, and self-worth. The tendency to question love. Not because you don't want it, not because you don't value it, but because part of you struggles to believe it will stay. Psychologists suggest that early experiences often influence how people perceive connection later in life. When care feels inconsistent, unpredictable, or conditional, the mind may learn to protect itself from disappointment. You might expect people to leave, expect rejection, expect abandonment. Even when there is little evidence it will happen. As a result, relationships can become emotionally complicated. You may crave closeness while fearing it at the same time. You may want connection while preparing for loss. You may find yourself testing relationships without realizing it, looking for signs that confirm your fears. The tragedy is that many people believe these fears reflect reality, when often they simply reflect old wounds. And old wounds are not reliable predictors of the future. The fact that someone hurt you before does not mean everyone will. The fact that love felt unsafe once does not mean it always will. But learning that requires courage, because healing often asks us to challenge beliefs that have protected us for years. Another hidden effect of childhood adversity is perfectionism. Many people assume perfectionism comes from ambition. Sometimes it does, but often it comes from fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of criticism, fear of disappointing others, fear of not being enough. For some individuals, achievement becomes more than achievement. It becomes protection. If I perform well enough, maybe I'll be accepted. If I achieve enough, maybe I'll feel worthy. If I make no mistakes, maybe nobody can hurt me. The problem is that perfection has no finish line. No matter how much you accomplish, the standard keeps moving, the goalpost keeps shifting, and eventually, you realize something painful. The approval you were chasing was never capable of filling the emptiness you were trying to escape. Because self-worth cannot be earned through endless performance. It must be recognized. And that recognition begins when you stop measuring your value solely by what you produce. You are more than your achievements, more than your productivity, more than your usefulness. You were always worthy, even before you proved anything. Perhaps that is one of the hardest truths for many people to believe, and yet it may also be one of the most important, because beneath every survival strategy lies a simple human need: to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel accepted, to feel enough. The child who developed these adaptations wasn't trying to become complicated. They were trying to survive, and in many ways they succeeded. They became resilient, observant, empathetic, responsible, strong. Those qualities helped them make it through difficult seasons. But survival is not the same as living. At some point, what protected you may begin limiting you. Hypervigilance may prevent peace. People-pleasing may prevent authenticity. Extreme independence may prevent connection. Perfectionism may prevent self-acceptance. And recognizing that is not a criticism. It's an invitation. An invitation to stop fighting battles that ended years ago. An invitation to let your nervous system rest. An invitation to believe that safety can exist in the present, not only in preparation for the future. Healing is not about becoming a different person. It's about becoming the person you were never fully allowed to be. The version of you that doesn't have to stay alert all the time. The version of you that doesn't have to earn love. The version of you that doesn't have to carry everyone's emotional weight. The version of you that knows being human is enough. And if any part of this feels deeply personal, know that you are not alone. There are countless people walking through the same invisible struggles. People who appear strong while carrying quiet pain. People who are learning day by day that survival and healing are not the same journey. The fact that these patterns exist does not mean something is wrong with you. It means your mind adapted. It means your nervous system protected you. It means a younger version of you found ways to endure experiences that felt overwhelming. And that deserves compassion, not shame, not judgment. Compassion, because healing begins the moment you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What happened to me?" That single shift changes everything. And perhaps the most beautiful truth of all is this: you do not have to spend the rest of your life surviving. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to trust. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to heal. And you are allowed to become someone whose life is guided by peace rather than protection. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on which survival pattern shows up most often in your life. Awareness is often the first step toward change. And if you're on a journey of understanding yourself more deeply, make sure to subscribe and join us for future conversations. Because sometimes the most powerful transformation begins with realizing that the things you've always judged about yourself may have once been the very things that helped you survive.